I was like, I'm gonna have to fly you out here, okay? But
It takes time. It's like growing vegetables.
yeah, right. So it definitely does, and I've been you know, I've been around it my whole life too. My mom, my dad usually use it for you know, spiritual purposes and meditating, and you know, he taught me too. You know, it was medicine, you know, and don't abuse it. And I feel
Right.
like I feel like there are a lot of people now that just get high just to get high. Like there's just no, there's no reason. I just think it's cool, so I want to smoke. And I'm like, that's, you know, that's what puts the stigma on it, you know?
Coping mechanisms, you know, and you know, I think people just, they abuse a good thing. Or they're trying to wean themselves off of maybe like opiates or like alcohol or something like that. There's so many things that cannabis treats that it's just crazy that it's taken this long for the public to get with it. And you know, the public is sheeple. Like they just follow each other. They're just herded in masses. And I'm telling you, I didn't wait for the government to say, you could be in the game. I didn't wait for the next guy to tell me, okay, it's safe. Man, there's been times, I can't even get into it, but there's been some hair-raising times from Boys in Blue to Jack Boys to just weather and like just bad seasons. Never mind like human threats, like the actual threats of the garden, from like animals to weather to fire to all types of shit.
To worms too. Like people understand all types of stuff eating at your shit. Like you really got to be.
Yeah, spider mites. Have you heard of the russet mite?
No. That just sounds.
The government's made a super mite. The government was spraying mites from the air to fuck up cannabis crops a couple years back. They made something called the super mite, and it just couldn't be beat. This thing was fucking Mighty Mouse mite. Like this thing was big as fuck, and it would just take over. So you had to make sure that like plants are neemed and you're using rosemary oil and you're blowing them off and all types of shit. I mean, shit. Even Azamax, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, you really got to use some things in the vegetative state. Once the flowers come on, nothing is being sprayed. I don't spray shit. But in vegetative state, I'm always doing my regimen, spraying the girls, going up under the skirt, making sure everything is on the up and up and everything is all aired out and no fungus, no bugs. And honestly, natural predators is the best way to go. Ladybugs, praying mantis, lizard and frog, and like certain other little bugs will do all the jobs for you if you know how to introduce them in the garden properly. Praying mantis are my favorite though.
Why? And what do they do?
They eat a mass amount of bugs, mites, whatever is getting on your plant that's attacking your plant. They will eat those bugs. So if you put a mantis in your garden and you see it dead, that means there weren't enough bugs to eat. So that's a good thing.
Oh, wow. That's nice.
If you see the mantis living and thriving and running around and day to day, that means he's continuing to eat. That means there is bugs to eat. So that's how you know. Ladybugs are not loyal. They're not loyal. They stay, they come, they do their thing, they fly away, they die. It's kind of a waste of money, to be honest. Like they're there.
They're so pretty though. They're so pretty.
They're pretty. But like, I know you've seen like you could buy ladybugs by the bunch. When you finally put them on somewhere, a lot of them just fall to the ground and die, or they leave. Some of them stay. But the mantis, definitely I like. Or like the lizards, frogs. That's all good stuff. Like Happy Frog soil. Are you using Happy Frog soil?
Yes, you already know.
Foxwork.
Yep.
Frogs love that shit.
You already know. It's the first thing. I was like, yep, let's do it. My girl was like,
I mean, indoor is different because you guys are controlling an atmosphere. You know what I mean? Like when I'm doing some ins, I'll bring some mantis in, but usually they die because there's not any bugs present really. Fly tape, sticky fly tape, that little yellow tape is good. Put those at the bottom so like you don't have those like gnats and stuff. It'll kill it.
Yeah, because I was like, I was spraying underneath the leaves too. People don't understand, like, if you get one bug, that one bug will multiply within itself. Okay, the bug will have sex with itself and have a bunch of babies. That's how crazy it is. And then you literally have to go underneath the plant and like you take your hand, go underneath it, look for spray them. Like people, like
Yeah.
it's real. You know, it definitely is real. But I mean, I'm appreciative of knowing how to do it. You know.
Yeah. How long have you been doing how long have you been growing?
I started a while ago, but I kind of left it alone because I was going state to state. So I just been doing it for the last, honestly, 3.5 months. And it's me and my home girl. They're actually going out to the farm. That's why half of them have already gotten taken out because we were just starting them, getting them together, and the girls they're just growing crazy, and it's time for them to go out to the farm. So I'll keep you posted on that. I'm a little scared because they're going to outside, and I'm like, are these people are they going to take care of them the right way? You know,
Acclimate them.
huh?
So you're saying you're growing up clones and they're taking them outside?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Make sure that they're acclimated before you put them in the sun. And what I mean by that is put them in diffused lighting, like in a shady area for about a day or two.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you put them right outside, they'll bleach and they'll turn almost like white yellow.
And then they'll die.
They'll slow down or they'll die. But you gotta basically like put them outside in the shade or like in some type of diffusion. And when you do that, then they take in the sun and then they can feel what it's really like. And then you can plug them outside. Especially like maybe like plant them at night or like at sundown so it's not so harsh of a transplant, or plug them in when it's like slightly a cloudy day. But I was looking at the weather. It's looking like late May, beginning June is how the outdoor season's looking this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like a couple years ago when it was like mid-May. It's looking like it's cloudy and rainy all the way to the point of like the beginning of June. And that might change, but like really June if you're going to take advantage of the outdoor season. But I mean, now like everybody's doing greenhouses out here.
Yeah. So, and how's that? Like when there's so many people doing it, you think it's saturating the market, the industry?
Yo, we're going to get into some real hot shit right now.
Okay.
I think the market took a huge hit, and I'll tell you why. PG&E, you know who PG&E is, right? Pacific Gas and Electric.
Gotcha. No, I do.
Those guys started the Paradise Fire 2 years ago, 2019. It started in Paradise. It burned out. Yeah, they got 85 counts of manslaughter when the investigation came back, 85 counts of manslaughter, okay? They did that because they're in cahoots with commercial cannabis. Commercial cannabis failed the first 2 years that it was in production in California. People weren't going to the pharmacies. Black market was just squeezing the game. I mean, you got to understand, there are guys like me who have $1 million seasons every fucking year. So you got to think there's hundreds of guys like me who are doing it that who cares about MedMen? You can spend all your money on billboards, bus benches, whatever. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, when you got guys that are busting off 5 to 1,000 pounds, and then they have side projects and they have capital, they're making shit swirl so hard all over the map that the little old storefronts aren't getting the traffic that they need, and the regulation that they make you pay for, all the licenses and all this and that and the third, you're in the high millions before you make $1. They make it really annoying. So what they had done was they got in cahoots with PG&E, and PG&E started that fire, went all the way down the sleeve of California, and it burnt all the way to the bottom of my town, right? Then the next year comes, my town burned. That was the Bear Fire, North Complex fire. That was the biggest fire in California history.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It was dangerous fire. Took thousands of homes, thousands of growers. People blame it on the lightning storm. Yeah, conveniently in August there was a lightning storm, but was Cal Fire putting it out? No. They got New York's finest, Texas finest. They had all these fire departments out here, but they couldn't put this fire out that quick. They have one of the biggest helicopters out here that will get on a fire immediately, but they let this shit burn because they're purging the hills. They got big plans. They don't want independent guys who've been running the game. And I call it self-employed. I wouldn't even call it black market because it wouldn't be a market unless
if it wasn't for the self-employed.
For people like us, people like you, people like me, people like the people that are on here watching this, anybody who's not watching this. So we're the ones that made the statistics. We're the ones that made this shit popular. Now they want to try to rape us of the game. And the fire came through. I have 2 properties. It burnt the property that I was living at. It took my house. It took $500,000 of weed. It took my greenhouses. I lost everything I owned. I lost everything. My neighbor died in that fire in my rear view. Like, there were so many animals that died in that fire. And so to get back to statistics, the weed burnt up. You got to think how many millions of pounds didn't hit the street in 2020, merge into 2021. Millions of pounds. So now that's why you see on social media all these people going to dispensaries flexing with these bags. Look, the cookie code. Look at this. Look at this. Look at these bags. Look at this. Look at that. Larry Bird, fucking Gary Payton, blah, blah, blah. All his fucking names just to get people stirred up and happy. Nobody was flashing the bags like they used to be. You see what I'm saying? Like, turkey bags is where it was at, buying pounds, and then people breaking it down. Now everything is marketed and packaged, but it's the same weed. It hasn't changed. Game ain't changed except for the name on the package and the coloring. That's all it is. So to bring me back to my point, the black market, which is basically the self-employed market. I hate even saying the black market because that is actually the market that made shit happen. That we took a hit and we're bouncing back now. So no, there's not a lot of people in the game right now. There's a lot of wannabes. There's a lot of white labels. There's a lot of like people that are just popping in because they got money. I went to college, you know, I got this degree in financing. Yeah, I could grow tomatoes. It's not like all that. And I think people are gonna see when they get in it, it's not as cracked up to be. And it doesn't pay as much either because all you are is just a big operation with a lot of overhead and a lot of employees to pay. So really, you just have the ultimate job with like okay pay.
Yeah.
If you grow your own, get your own. If you ain't growing your own, you're not really capitalizing. The farmer makes the money. Sure, you could break it down and flip it, but you're growing your money on trees. That's what you're doing. Everybody else is just selling the product. So they got to go through the fluctuation of how expensive it is, how cheap it is. You know, it gets cheaper in December and harvest season, and then there's dry July, and then it goes into spring. You know the flux of the game. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I don't think it was saturated at one point. The fire purged and it made the strong survive. You feel me? If you're still in this game, especially California, if you're still selling weed in California and you haven't moved to Arizona or Michigan or Maine or Jersey or wherever the hell else that, no offense to anybody else, but like the canna culture is brand new. If you're still selling weed in California, you running the game, period. And I got my ass burnt out last year and I'm still in this bitch. You got rappers that ran from California because they're like, I can't make $1. It's too hard.
What do you mean it's too hard? You gotta, I mean, California's a hard place, period. Let's just be real, you know, but you gotta level up. That's what I say. You know, I moved out here from Atlanta and I told myself I gotta level up. I mean, that's just basically it. Either you're gonna do it or you're not. There's no in between.
See, what you did was you identified the top position. You're growing. You're doing what you are in your nursery and you found your niche and you're making it. Other people are like, how do I do this? How do I get in it? You got to pick up a book. These Google growers out here got the game fucked up because all they're doing is just Google growing fucking everything. Like, oh, okay, you need experience.
You gotta jump in. You gotta get your hands and nails done.
You gotta fail.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta get water sprayed in your face because you know you didn't realize the hose wasn't screwed on properly. Come on now.
Right. You gotta fail. Honestly, like my first plant wasn't the greatest. My first plant was a Cincy Star. And my second plant was AK-47 in Dallas. We're not gonna go into that story, but that was my first plant. Okay. And The first plant didn't do so hot. I had all these stupid cannabis myths. I thought this and that and the third. And a lot of the knowledge was bred from hippie knowledge that, you know, even as small as like, you got to cut the plant and hang it upside down for the THC to really develop onto the, but hell no, you don't have to cut the whole plant and hang it upside down. That's just to get it out the garden and just to deal with it. But you could cut those buds up and put them in a basket. Like there's so many misconceptions, like using molasses to make it stickier. No, I do not use molasses at the end. That adds too much sulfur and you have a sulfur taste. So I don't flush with molasses. I use that at like mid-cycle and then I phase it out and then I use raw honey. And then I have another secret that I will not divulge because you have not been to Willy Wonka's factory.
Okay, don't say it yet. Don't say it.
But you got enough gems in game right there to where those things right there make the game and what it is and the palate that people have for good weed. And so you created, coming from Atlanta, Atlanta's a really entrepreneurial state. Like everybody there is doing something. When I was living there, absolutely, you're doing something and you're active because you believe in yourself. Mm-hmm. So you put yourself in the position of the West Coast is the best coast. You came out here, you're growing, you're doing it, and you're making a business of it, and you're not letting anybody tell you no. That's why you're winning.
I mean, the thing was, is like, you know, because I act too, and it was always like, oh my God, can you be an actress or actor and still be in the cannabis industry? And I was like, I'm gonna show you that I can. Because when you're down, when you got your downtime and they're like, okay, find something to do in your downtime because you got to wait on the next one. So what are you supposed to do? So my thing is like, you know what, I'm going to do something I love. I like growing. I love growing. I have a green, the green thumb was natural. It was something that, you know, I'm going through something and I found my way, you know, like I got in there and I was like, and that was it. And I was like, well, shit, I ain't going nowhere, you know, and it's been like that ever since, you know. So I actually learned how to clone too. You know?
Did you? How long did it take you to do like a successful dome?
I'm still learning.
It takes time. It takes time. I will say one thing. There's a small secret to cloning. When you transplant into those styrofoam cups, don't just poke the bottom. Poke all on the side and on the bottom. Okay. Aeration is really important for baby clones at the beginning. Moisture and aeration, a good balance. Some people's clones, they just poke the bottom of the cup. It just, the water just sits there. You got to let the water go outside. Yeah, perfect drainage though. And that's really like the key in like the clone exploding after it has the roots and you transplant it into like a little cup with some Fox Farm or something.
I did have some, I will say some of them came through. I saw some roots today and I was like, yes, ladies, come on. Like they said, well, a lot of them die, let's be real. It's my first time doing it. But yeah, and I was like, dang, you know, you're thinking like, okay, it's gonna work, it's gonna work. And you're looking like, oh shit, okay, I'm gonna have to figure this out. And I think I put maybe too much water on them, you know, so to learn how to do that. And then one day I had the tops over them, like, and I wasn't there for a couple days, so it was too much moisture to take the tops off. So the babies are a little harder. I will say that they're a little harder.
Is the light too close?
So it's the light's like just because they're on the shelf and they have like a warmer pad underneath them. And they do have holes in them in the tray, but it's like, they're like, the lights are like right there, and it's not directly on them, but they're like, they're on top of them. So maybe the
heating pad can kill them if you're not careful with the moisture level in the dome or how like moist they are, because the heating pad can just make the roots just get so dry too quick if there's not enough water at a certain time. And that can also kill it. Like once the roots get established, I take the heating pad away unless like the room's cold. But like I'll just take the heating pad away. Heating pad's good for like seeds too. But another thing with clones is they love humidity, like mega humidity. Yeah, because like, you know what's funny is I did a beta test in Georgia. Of course, I was not allowed to do it, but did I care? No, because I'm a Texas boy. Like we're gonna do what we want to do. And I literally grew in Smyrna, big ass plants. You know who saw that shit? Mecca from Cash Card Cannabis came there and interviewed me in my backyard with my plants in Smyrna, Georgia.
Smyrna. But Smyrna, I mean, there's a nice little, nice little area you can grow in Smyrna though.
Well, so my point was, it was really it was really humid at the right time.
Yeah.
And the vegetative state was great. It was so big. It was so big. It was like the size of a rose bush. And you know how you know what I did to disguise it? Because I think like the airport was a little bit of ways away. Like I know like a helicopter come here and there, but Georgia don't know anything about big jungle weed. But if they did, I didn't want them to know. So I ordered those plastic peaches that like your grandma keep on her table, like with some fruit, you know, fake fruit.
Yeah.
I hung plastic peaches off the plant.
And it looked like a peach tree. Ha!
From flying in a helicopter, yeah, it looks like a
You
peach
couldn't
tree.
tell the difference. That's smart.
Can't tell. You just see like orange pinkish shit on a plant. You think it's a peach tree.
Yeah.
Georgia peaches.
Yeah.
Why not, right?
Hey.
Bro, I had a 5-pounder in Smyrna, like fat as fuck. It was
Is that where they were getting all their weed from? Because I tell you, I was smoking Cali. I was smoking that Cali in ATL. ATL would make you level your shit up, no matter what side of the East Coast or Southeast you're from. If you go to Atlanta and smoke that, you gotta step your game up. It was always fire in that A. Always fire.
Well, I really only did those plants not to like. I mean, people knew I was doing what I was doing, but I didn't have it to sell and like make a bunch of money off of it. What it was a beta test for Georgia. Okay. So I knew that Georgia was going to go legal because I was rubbing elbows with Kirk Thompson, the senator, and his son, and I used to sell to his son. And so I went to their Christmas party, and he's asking me like, Ben, how do we like integrate something that isn't so verbally threatening on this bill so when people hear it and read it, they don't think reefer madness or marijuana? How do we get cannabis in somehow, get our foot in the door? I was like, y'all gotta introduce CBD oil, the oil. When you call it the oil, enough people don't know oil with fit. They're just like, okay, yeah, it's helping people. Sure.